Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. Thanks for joining us. And our guest tonight is head soccer coach at CHS, Mike Bottomley. Mike, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much.
And we'll be talking soccer in a few minutes. Sam and I went to Rushville Friday. We saw a football game, and Sam...
It was a game of streaks the other night.
Yes.
You know, we see that a lot in basketball, but seldom do you see those kind of streaks in football. Rushville able to jump out to a first quarter 14-0 lead, and then late in the first quarter, I think with 31 or 33 seconds left, Spartan's able to put 7 on the board, and then late in the second quarter, with about the same amount of time left, they were also able to put 7 more up, tied up going into halftime. But
yes, good.
Then they come out and had a good third quarter and start of a fourth quarter, and led 40-19, I think, with about 11 minutes to go in the game.
Ahead by 3+ touchdowns.
And the wheels came off.
Those dreaded fumbles and turnovers began to appear, and it was unfortunate. The kids played hard. Yeah,
they did. They played very well. I thought one of the big turning points in the game, Fran, was when they changed quarterbacks, and I believe the Yeager kid that they brought in, Rushville did, and
yes.
He was able to air it out and made a couple nice passes. But between that and the Spartan turnovers in the fourth quarter, the fumbles just did us in. And you go back and look at a couple point afters that we weren't able to get done. And at the time, my broadcast partner, Dave Pollard, said that could come back to haunt us.
Oh, absolutely.
And it certainly did. A missed point here or there, and we missed a couple of them. But, that's the game. The kids played hard, but, man, I felt for them because that had to be the longest 16-mile trip from Rushville ever for those kids coming back on the bus.
Well, this week we play Broad Ripple, a team that's won 1 game and lost 4. The Rockets will be coming to Spartan Stadium, so we're looking forward to that ball game, and I know they're working hard this week to prepare for this team.
Yeah, and I think that it's a team that certainly we can compete with and hopefully get our first win. I think that very achievable. They showed last week, even though they lost, that they were able to put some points on the scoreboard. 40 points was the most they've scored, and they just need to continue offensively and with some better execution, get rid of the fumbles, and continue to play pretty good defense.
And all that scoring was because of rushing. They weren't successful in passing.
No, they weren't.
It was a ground game for CHS all the way. But speaking of Rushville, they alternated their freshman and their sophomore quarterback, and the sophomore was the guy who came in and actually saved the game for them. We have a little bit from the game. I think we show a touchdown, the first touchdown of the evening for the Spartans. Let's watch that right now. Okay, here we go. Scoring, and that was quite a thrill for those guys. They were very happy because at that point they were down 14-0, I believe.
Yeah, they were, and got them back on the scoreboard. We were very concerned that they would maybe not be able to score after Rushville being able to score so quickly.
Well, hopefully we see a lot of that this week, a lot of getting into the end zone.
It was an entertaining game. It just didn't turn out the way we wanted it. Had a little bit of everything. And
a lot of Spartan fans showed up.
Oh, nice crowd on hand. Of course, it was homecoming over there, and we'll be celebrating homecoming against Broad Ripple this week. But yeah, it's always fun when we get together with the Lions, no matter whether it's here or there, and the weather was very conducive to getting a lot of people in the stands.
Been nice to bring that trophy back home, but it's still going to be in Rushville for at least another year.
Or at least another year. We looked at it, and it says Rushville on there way too many times. So
absolutely,
we need to.
The war on 44 needs to come back this way. Mike Bottomley, you coach a sport where you use your head in more ways than one.
Your head and feet, no hands.
How long have you been at soccer coach?
This is my 7th year as the boys varsity soccer coach.
You've always had pretty good success.
Yeah, I think we started off 7 years ago. We started 7 sophomores, and we took our pounding. But as the years grown and our youth program grown, we've won 10 games for the last 5 years, and a sectional championship in there also.
Yeah.
So we've been very successful and pretty consistent. And this year we have 8 wins. We need 2 more wins to get to that number 10. That's our goal every year to get 10 wins.
Okay. How many games do you have left?
We have the Crystal Academy, Batesville, Oldenburg, and Greensburg.
Okay, and I think you start the sectional 2 weeks from today, October 5th, I believe, at Richmond.
October 5th in Richmond, and we're excited to get the season on and see how we do at tournament time. But we still got 2 more games in conference. We're in 3rd place in conference right now. We're hoping we can at least finish 2nd or 3rd. East Central pretty much got it wrapped up. They're undefeated, and they start 11 seniors, and they're pretty tough this year. So we're fighting for that 2nd, 3rd place. And Batesville is right with us, so we really need to beat them in Greensburg.
Okay,
So,
okay. Sam, you want to...
With East Central, are they a sectional opponent, possible sectional opponent, or they go elsewhere?
They go elsewhere. We have Richmond, Newcastle, Rushville, and us, and is in our sectional in Franklin County.
In Franklin County.
Yeah.
So in football, there's 6 classes. Basketball, there's 4. How many classes?
Just 2.
Just 2.
We're in the big school class.
Big school class,
Yeah.
which brings in Rushville and Franklin County that normally in a 4-class system we wouldn't be playing.
Probably not, right? But they lump them all, just 2 classes. So, so we got to play teams like Richmond and teams like Franklin County. So, but it's pretty competitive sectional. Richmond usually rules that sectional since I've been around. We've won it once. I think they've won it like 5 times, and Newcastle I think has won it once. So. Richmond usually pretty deep and usually have some good players.
Okay, you play 10 guys on the field plus a goalie.
Yep, 11v11.
And is the goalie the hardest job?
I wouldn't say the hardest job, but in high school it is very important because when the game's getting tough, you just don't score. And you got to have most of the games are 3-2, 2-1, so it's very important. You have that keeper that can control the game, put kids in the right places, and make good decisions.
What about your team? You got some seniors. Why don't you tell us about the
Yeah,
guys
we have
who are
7
both Raiders?
We have 7 seniors this year. They all been playing soccer for the past 4 years.
Okay.
We have Terry Flowers. He's a defender. He's our mid defender. He brings a lot of energy into the team, and him and Stephen Kefavor are 2 back defenders. They do a great job. They're very athletic, very quick. They're usually, as defenders, probably the most athletic defenders in our conference. There's not many better than them.
Okay.
And their athletic ability. Then Hunter Shelton, we kind of play him everywhere. He's our midfielder. Sometimes he'll go back and play defense. Sometimes we'll move him up in offense. He's very fast and he's very strong. And I think he has 10 goals this year. He's 2nd in team in scoring. He's just the midfield is very important in soccer. The keeper's important, but the midfield. If you can control the midfield, you can control the game.
Okay.
And he's really athletic. And Chandler Graves is our other midfielder, and he's more offensive. He leads the team in scoring. And Matthew Watkins is, I kind of put him anywhere too. He's probably our quickest player. He plays outside wing, outside midfield, depends on who you're talking to. There's a lot of different ways you can explain positions. Yes. If we're playing a team that has really, really quick forwards, we'll put him back on defense. But he's been great because he just leaves it all out on the field. He's a baseball player that we got. He still plays baseball, but we have enjoyed him coming to play soccer for us. Then Seth Smith is our other senior. He also plays midfield. He came off a pretty bad injury last year, and he's getting better as the year goes. We just got to work on his quickness, but I think by sectional time he'll be ready to go for sure. And our other seniors, our forward is Dakota Simpson, and I think he has 9 goals this season. So we have 3 kids that can score pretty well.
Good.
And
Good.
It's a good group of seniors. They're all just good, solid players, and takes direction good, and they're good kids.
Soccer is one of those games that many times you'll see a soccer player on the football team doing some kicking, which is, I think, interesting that they're able to play two varsity sports in the same season, the same sports season. And do you have any of those this year? I mean, in years
You're
past?
I mean,
Flowers to Adam Kelly, don't you?
Every year, I'm not a real big fan of it, but every year they allow soccer players to kick for them, which is not a big deal.
You just don't
they
want him tackling somebody.
Yeah,
and
I always tell them they're not allowed to tackle nobody, but they don't listen to me because they're boys. They want to tackle somebody. But I mean, for the past 7 years, I think there's been a soccer player.
Yeah, it was Jack
kicking
Reed
for 'em.
last year, wasn't it?
Jack Reed last year. I mean, this year I think we have Peyton Kiefaber kicking for him, and Kiki Guerrero I think kicks off for him.
Yeah.
So, and I think they're both. One's a freshman, one's a sophomore. So they'll be kicking for the next couple of years.
Good deal. Good deal. Getting a new field out there, I understand.
Well, that's the talk. They're going to redo that whole area with baseball field, softball field, and new soccer field. And that's something puts us in a disadvantage sometime. We probably play on the smallest field on the schedule of all these other teams.
Oh, okay.
It's part of the smallest field. We're not allowed host sectionals or tournaments because it's not official size.
Well, how much shorter is it than a regulation field? Is a soccer field the size of a football field?
It's a little bit bigger than a football field, a little bit wider. A lot of football fields has a soccer field. We play on a lot of football fields. And I think the line's about 10 yards wider.
Okay. Probably metric because it's more of an international sport.
Right.
Where,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and it's about 10 yards longer.
Yeah.
Our field, it's hard to get a good offensive flow. It's hard to spread teams out because in soccer you're supposed to play wide, spread out, pass the ball. But in our field, everybody's kind of together, so the scores seem to be low scoring.
Okay.
It's good if you're a decent team and like East Central will come play us. It's kind of an advantage for us because they're a really good passing team and likes to spread us out. But it's hard when you start tournament time when you go to a regular size
Right,
field.
our kids aren't accustomed to a wider field.
But hopefully that gets done here in the next couple of years. I'm not for sure the time frame of that, but hopefully that can get done.
Well, that'll be great. We got plenty of room out there. It's north of the football field and south of the academic buildings, so it should be all right. So I know you're looking forward to that very much.
Oh yeah, it'll be a much better flow.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a concession stand in the middle that will help all three fields. It'll be just much better flow for everybody.
Right. Where'd you learn to play soccer? Did you go to college and play soccer?
No, it was by accident. My son, when he was 5 years old, we just kind of moved in town. I went to Ball State University and all that. Just moved in town, and he wanted to play soccer. You know, I'm a football guy. Played football in high school, and I was like, "Oh, Zach, we don't want to play soccer. We play football here." But no, he wanted to play, so we went to the soccer, and they played, and he come running off the field. He said, "Dad, I love it." So we ended up playing soccer. And I started coaching when he was like 7 or 8. So I've been involved with soccer for about 14 years. And that's what's nice about all these players. I've kind of been with these boys since they've been 9, 10, 11 years old.
Well, what kind of a feeder system do you have?
There's a couple. We have the Parks Recreation leagues. They have probably about 300 kids.
Yeah.
And I think it's ages 3 through 11, 3 through 12. Then we also have like a travel league, a little better competition. And that's usually like a 10 and up.
Okay.
And they travel.
And you have a JV team, don't you? Soccer
We
team?
have a JV team. And a lot of these kids, played soccer in youth. And that's what's nice. When I first started, none of the kids, I don't want to say none of, but a lot of kids never really played soccer. They just did it for a letter or just to do something.
Sure.
You pretty much just start from basics teaching. Now, most of these kids has already been through the system. We have me and my coach, John Reynolds, we host a youth soccer camp every year. So, I know like Peyton Kiefer has been coming to our soccer camp since he's been 10. So he always knows all the drills and everything that we do because we try to introduce the things that we do at varsity at these camps. So it's pretty nice. And, you know, a lot of it is volunteer help. And with a school our size, it does cycle itself. Some years you have a big group that's been playing soccer, that their dad's taking them everywhere. Then another year it may not be so big. But we have a pretty decent feeder program for the size of
good.
town
I know
that
you
we have.
appreciate all the volunteer work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Without that, it just wouldn't happen probably.
Right, because it's all, I mean, it takes a lot to do the travel leagues.
You sure?
Yeah, got to travel. They travel 4 or 5 different cities around, and registrations and all that kind of stuff is a little difficult.
During a game, go ahead, Sam.
I was just last week, you know, we had Leah on, the girls coach, and it seems to me like one year you helped out with the girls when maybe they were short a coach or something at tournament time, but maybe I could be wrong about that. But talk a little bit about the difference in boys and girls. I know Fran and I have covered basketball for many years, and while it's a similar game, it's a different game. Between boys and girls in basketball. Do you see that in soccer?
Between the
also?
boys and girls? Yeah. I mean, I coached, my daughter also played soccer, so I coached her in her age group for 3 or 4 years when they was 11, 12, 13 years old. It's a little slower pace. It's not as aggressive. It's night and day when it comes to quickness and to being aggressive at the ball. The girls, the good teams that we play, the Newcastles, they more possess the ball, a lot of passing. So there's a big difference with the intensity, especially around this area.
Sure. What's your job as coach during a game? You call plays or?
Well, that's one thing I really do like about soccer. As a coach, I coach all the different sports growing up, you know, baseball and wrestling and, you know, all of them. What I like about soccer is you coach the kids at practice. You know, you try to teach them things. But when that whistle blows on the field, they're out there for 40 minutes. You ain't calling timeout. It's up to them. And it kind of shows you how well you have taught them and how they act on the field.
So, do you have a captain or obvious, like in all sports, you have to know what your teammates are thinking. It seems like you all have to be thinking on the same page.
Yeah, we have
right?
we have a concept going into the game.
Yes.
There's certain things that we want to try to do, but we don't yell out, play 3, play 4. They kind of know what to do on every situation. Okay. Now, we will make changes, you know, through the game with subs, but you just can't call timeout. There's times I wish I could have called timeout, but, you know, it's a sport where it's up to the kids on the field to make the decisions. That's what I like, and that's good.
So they have to be thinking all the time.
I mean, it's not like these other sports where you can tell the kid what to do every step of the way.
Sure.
And I like that, and that's how I coach. Let kids make their own decisions. And
do the defensive and offensive players, do they interchange? I mean, do you have some that are defensive especially, or do they do both offense and defensive?
You can, like I said, it's up to the offensive concept of the game and how, as a coach, you want your kids to play. But our defenders, if the right opportunities come, they can go up and play offense. Okay. But if they come up, then the offensive guy got to come back and fill in. You see, they have to fill in their positions. And that's something we work on at practice. You just can't expect them to do it right on the field. So there's special plays where we can have a defender make a run instead of our forwards all the time.
Okay.
Then when that happens, offense needs to come back and help cover. Because if he makes a run and it doesn't work, the other team's coming back down, you don't want a gap. So we know, like the midfielders, they play offense and defense and move back and forth. That's why they probably need to be their most athletic kids, because they are attacking and they also are defending. And that's why it's so important to have good midfielders. And that's kind of been our weakness this year at times. If you look at our scores, we've had 8 shutouts this year. Wow. And 2, and the one game we lost 2-1. And the 2 games we lost, we got beat 6-0, 5-0, which is a blowout in soccer. So we got to figure out, in both of those games, our midfielders was outplayed due to the quickness, better passing. So that's something as a coach we need to work on when we play those teams again. How can we be a little more competitive in the middle of the field? So, and that's what happened last week with Richmond. They were so quick. We wasn't ready for that because there's really nobody on the schedule that has players as quick as him, and they on that turf field they're even faster.
Oh, yeah.
And we just wasn't ready for that. We are now, but our midfielders didn't get back in time to cover those gaps, and they was able to get through them. So, and
So it's good to have an opportunity to play at Richmond, though, since you'll be there for sectional. So
Right.
you get used to that artificial
Right.
turf. You said that your record, you have one tie. Explain a tie. Do they play overtime and still you can tie?
yeah, it's kind of silly sometimes with soccer. If it's a non-conference game, you play 80 minutes. If it's tie, you play an overtime. If it's still a tie, then it's a tie. In a conference game, you play 2 overtime periods, 7 minutes. Then if it's still a tie, then you have a kickoff. So you shoot penalty kicks.
And I would think similar for the tournament then, for sectional.
Yeah, for sectional stuff.
Because
So
you have to
there'll
be
be-
able to determine a winner.
There's no ties in conference games or the tournament.
I see.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What determines who gets the ball first? How does that determine?
The referees
Okay.
bring the two team. Every team has a couple captains, and through the game, if there's a problem, or if I think a player being too rough on the other team, I would signal to our captain. He would approach the ref and say, "Hey, number 23 is being a little rough. Can you watch that?" So the refs look to the kids on the field to the captain. So they meet at the beginning of the game. They flip a coin and they
Okay.
choose
Okay.
which side they want to defend or who gets the ball first. Then they rotate after half.
Okay, Crystal House Academy comes to Connersville
Yep.
when?
9:24 Thursday.
Okay.
It's our senior night. It's always a special night for us. It's always a sad night for me because I know it's about done with these guys. And like I said,
Sure.
I've known the kids for a long time, so it's really tough.
I'll
And
bet.
been with their parents and everything else, so it's always tough. Now, Crystal House, I'm not for sure how they got on our schedule. This is the first year. But
Yeah.
I think they was lacking games, and we had an opening.
Okay.
And so we'll play you. I mean,
They're
it's one of them things.
They're a new school. I think it's a charter school in Indianapolis, and they're not eligible for IHSA competition until next year. I believe 2016-17
Is it?
season, yes.
I looked on the Max Preps, which is the website for high school sports, and I think they're like 8-2, so they've been winning some games.
Sure.
But they play teams I just not for sure.
Well, yeah,
A lot
they're
of private
small. They have
schools, so,
less than 500 enrollment, so
Yeah,
they're
we'll see what happens.
half the size
when-
of Connersville, right? And then Oldenburg Academy, they come to town too, don't they, this week?
Yep, they come here. They're also a small private school, but they're pretty good. They're pretty solid. That's
Yes.
kind of their sport is soccer.
Now, they don't play football, I don't
They
believe.
started a program last year. For the first year ever,
Okay.
they got their football program at Oldenburg.
Yeah.
But they've always been a soccer school.
Sure.
And they're always solid. Coach Getz, he's been there ever since I've been coaching, and he always puts on a team that, for some reason, it doesn't matter how good we are every year, it's a close game. The year we went 14-1, and one they beat us. It don't even make sense, but they play well. They're in the right spots, so they're always tough to play.
Yeah.
Then we got to end the season with the 2 conference games. Greensburg is really down this year, and then we end it at Batesville, which is they're usually pretty solid in soccer too.
And those are 2 conference games?
Yeah, and they're probably, I wouldn't say must wins, but for us to
Sure.
finish third, we need to win both those games.
Sure. Sure.
It's all about putting kids on conference teams, and the
Sure.
higher you finish, the more kids you get to put on the team. So it's important for us
Better-
to finish as high as we can.
Better chance of being named all conference as an individual. or
Right.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's important, and we had a kid win all conference, which was nice. Logan Newcomb. I mean, he was one of our better players. And it was, like I said, it's a league dominated by East Central, but you can still, we beat them last year 2-0. So they're not unbeatable, but they're just a tough, solid team. They don't have a down year. They're always solid.
Have you had any players to go on to college and play soccer?
I know Brent Levi. He played a few years ago. He was our keeper, really good keeper, and he's played for a couple college. I think he went to Trine. Then he went to a small school up in Chicago area.
Okay.
And he's not playing now because he's out of school, but he played. And I know some of these kids are just playing intramural leagues in colleges. But he's about the only one I think has went to college.
You lost some seniors through graduation, didn't you, last year?
Yeah, we always lose some good ones. Last year we lost a really good midfielder, and Andrew Stein.
Yes.
And Jack is our forward, and Quentin Sullivan was our keeper, and Jordan Hazelrig was one of our midfielders.
So in high school, every sport, every year, the team changes.
Right, and you got to be able to, and every year, you got to put the players that you have in the best spots that you think that you can win games. Formation-wise, last year we ran a 4-5-1 because we had a lot of good kids that could possess the ball and pass. And this year we're doing a 4-3-3. So it all depends on
the players.
In the years that we had Logan Newcomb and Hackelman, we ran a 4-4-2. Because at forward, Logan is very hard to stop out by himself. Now we got to do a little more passing, a little more work to score.
That's interesting. Well, I hope the fans turn out for your remaining home games and bring a lawn chair and watch the action, right?
Oh yeah, we have good. We have a lot of fans come to the games.
Good.
Like I said, we've been solid the last few years. We have another good group of freshmen. We had 13 freshmen come out this year. It's most freshmen I've had. I know there's some 7th and 8th graders. That's pretty good. So I think the future looks good.
That's great.
In the next few years. So I'm looking forward. Like I said, John Reynolds is my assistant coach. He's been with me for the past 6 years. He's doing practice right now, and he's my junior varsity coach.
Good deal. This week at CHS, the girls soccer team, they're hosting Centerville right now, and they'll be going to Lawrenceburg on tomorrow. The boys tennis team will be at Franklin County today, at East Central on Tuesday, and it's hard to believe, but the tourney starts Thursday and Saturday, so their season is coming to a close. The girls golf will be in the regional on Saturday. Volleyball's at Richmond Tuesday. They'll be home to East Central on Thursday, and they host South Dearborn on Saturday. Football JV is right now meeting Rushville at the Spartan Stadium. The freshmen play at Rushville on Thursday. We have, of course, the varsity game with Indy Broad Ripple here on Friday at Spartan Stadium. We really enjoyed talking to you guys from CHS and everything, and we want to continue the best of luck for you because we know you're anxious to do well in the season. And as you pointed out, you have some youngsters coming up, so it looks pretty good for us.
I appreciate you guys' support, and
we appreciate all you do for our youth, and from all the way down to your feeder leagues up through varsity. I know that you are always involved.
Okay, appreciate it.
Well, you understand you're not going to wrestle anymore at CHS?
Yeah, I resigned this year. I've been there for 6 or 7 years at the high school, and it's time for me to move on, concentrate on soccer. It's a short season. The fall season's always short. The winter season takes forever. So it's just time in my life I need to cut down on coaching.
And you have an assistant that's going to move into your spot?
I think they hired somebody from Newcastle, and I'm not for sure who his name is.
Okay.
And being a lay coach, it does take a lot of your time.
Oh, yeah, and that's why that's why you need a good assistant coach. Sometimes with my job, I just can't be at practice. And I've missed games because of city council meetings. So it's always good to have a good assistant coach. And being a lay coach is sometimes difficult because you don't see the kids at school either. Can't really, I guess, recruit too much at school. So it's difficult. It has its times.
Thanks. Mike Bottomley, a CHS soccer coach, has been our guest. Sam and I will see you next week at another Spartan Sports Report. Thanks for watching TV3, everybody.